and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make a variation on my easy broccoli and garlic sauce recipe that's originally from the vegan slow cook, that's originally from the Easy Vegan Cookbook. Wow, this does not bode well for my speech patterns for the rest of this. Anyhow, I hope you guys are doing great. I'm going to just check. Please let me know, say hi if you're around and if you're seeing this. I know it takes a little while for the stream to kind of perpetuate itself around. Yep, because we go from 2 people to 12 people. So yes, welcome. So what we're doing today is from the Easy Vegan Cookbook, and it's really a variation of it. So I make an easy broccoli with garlic sauce because sometimes you want to have takeout, but you don't want to go out to get it. This is that kind of night for me. So I'm taking it and I'm kind of really expanding it. Hi, Angela. Oh, thank you. She said she liked my Addams Family Van Gogh mashup t-shirt, which I like too. That little beep in the background is my rice cooker to make the rice for all this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go way beyond the broccoli, and we're going to add carrots and broccoli stems and broccoli leaves because I had big broccoli leaves that I got in a CSA. I have some oyster mushrooms, so I'm going to chop some of those up. We'll make a sauce, but the first thing I wanted to go ahead and add is just to do a quick air fryer tofu. And in fact, I think I have one on the YouTube channel, and I call it cheater tofu because it's just so simple. So let's take a look. So I see a lot more people are in, so what we're going to do is like a little stir fry. So usually what I'll do is I'll cut the block in half, cut it in half again. You want to get it as close to even as you can, but I'm not great at that, so I should not be here. And then on this side I usually cut it in about 3 sections. And then I'm going to come and cut it across the side. Hi, Sue. Welcome. And I see a lot of people are coming in now. So what we're doing is we're going to make a stir fry. So we're starting off. This is, as you can see, I didn't cut all the way down, extra firm tofu. So this is the extra firm, so I didn't have to press it at all. So if you had just regular firm tofu, you would have pressed it so no water comes out. I like to use this the best because I'm lazy, and literally I have to do nothing but just, I'm going to make those a little bit smaller, and I'm going to just take these, and you can use all of this in one meal, or we could air fry it, and then I could use some of it in this meal and some of it in maybe on a salad or something like that. And it's so ridiculously easy. So again, if you had regular tofu or just kind of firm tofu and not the extra firm tofu, you would have pressed it before we got here. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of organic cornstarch. You could use tapioca starch. Basically, it helps the outside get crispy. So we're just going to kind of toss that. And you're going to notice the wetness will absorb some of it, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be white all the way over. It just needs to have it on it. And that's going to help it crisp up a lot in the air fryer. So I'm going to use the Breville because that's the easiest thing for me to do. You can see I have some water because my cutting board was wet. Hi, Lorenz. Yay, tofu and broccoli lover in Las Vegas. Excellent. So this is going to make some mess on my counter, and I don't care. I will just wipe it again. I'm just going to spread it out. I don't care that it's perfect or not. I don't care if all the pieces are perfectly even, because you know what? They're not. Because you're watching me make dinner. This, you know, it is what it is. I'm going for dinner is my goal and not perfection, and I suspect that's what you're doing too. Okay, and see, it was just easy wipe. I'm I'm going to put this in the Breville. This is the Breville Oven Air, so it has an air fryer function. So I'm just going to come down here, put it on air fry. I'm going to go ahead and up the temp to about 400. We'll let it go for 7 minutes and we'll check it. And while we're doing that, we'll get some stuff sautéing. And so I see a bunch more people are here. And this pan, just know that I know this pan is a little small for what we're doing, but my biggest pans don't work on the induction burner. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. There we go. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of water in here because I'm going to do this oil-free. If you wanted to, you could cut up some onions and different things as well. I'm not going to do it because Cheryl's just going to pick them out. And again, today is goal dinner. Hi, is it Helen? Hi, Helen. I was reading Helene there for a second. Sorry about that. And Sue, Angela, and there's a whole bunch more people here. So I've got some broccoli florets here. They had really long stems, so here I have some carrots and some broccoli stems cut up. I had some big broccoli leaves that looked almost like collards, and some oyster mushrooms, which is what I'm going to start with. A minute ago, I see where I put it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the oyster mushrooms in. Hi, cats. I am doing well, and I hope you are as well. Thank you for the well wishings. And I probably could do this without any water in here. But honestly, here we go. Let me get this a little bit better. I feel like, there we go. There we go. That's better. And because I'm going to do more than one thing at a time, I have extra water. Because while these are cooking, and while some of this is cooking, we're going to go ahead and make the sauce. And I've got the sauce recipe over here, and I probably will do it a little bit differently because I'm me, right? So I like these little OXO dressing things for making these sauces. And you can make extra amounts of the sauce. Let's see, yeah. Get that. And you won't have to add quite as much water because you're going to be paying attention and you will have already made the sauce first. So this is just basically a super easy stir fry sauce. And this particular one will have some extra flavors. So oyster mushrooms are usually quite expensive. And you could use regular mushrooms as well. I got these inexpensively, or close, they were like $7 a pound at the Asian market, which makes them affordable. I think sometimes oyster mushrooms at Whole Foods are like 20 bucks a pound. So please don't pay that much money for them. You don't need to have it for this recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put in, I don't have vegetable broth, so I'm going to put in about a half a cup of water. And so this has measurements on the side. You could put in some bouillon. And remember, I have bouillon recipes on both my sites, plantbasedinstantpot.com and healthyslowcooking.com. The cheapest bouillon you will ever make even. Hi, Lynn from Oklahoma. I like all of your veggie emojis. Those are very happy. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to put like 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and I'm going to call it a day. So that's what I'm doing instead of that. Then we're going to do about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I'm using gluten-free tamari. You could also use coconut aminos. And I have a few things. Once I get a couple things going, I give you some other alternatives too that are easy for the future if you want to keep some things in your pantry. So we're going to do about 2 tablespoons. And that's the air fryer telling me that it's preheated. Thank you, Breville. We appreciate you letting us know. And then I'm going to put, this one, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. I don't say that on this one, but typically a lot of times when I'm making a sauce, I will go ahead and do about equal parts soy and rice vinegar. You can see how these guys are starting to look. Oh, I need to turn on my fan. So, excuse me. You can't see those mushrooms because that poor little lens is all fogged up. So let's fix that. It may take a minute to get it unfogged. So we'll just talk here and we'll talk amongst ourselves. But here, like you guys can kind of see there, it's starting to look really yummy. I'm going to add a little more water. And while they are still cooking down a little more, I'm going to add these carrots and the broccoli stems. Those are the parts that are going to need to cook the longest. There are a few broccoli leaves in here too, so if you get the long broccoli, you can totally use those leaves. They're actually quite good for you. So let this go. And again, a bigger pan would be nice. Here we go. I'll let you see from the top now. Wow, I see more people have joined. So what we're doing today is you are watching Kathy make her dinner for Cheryl. And we're making a variation of my broccoli and garlic sauce, stir fry, obviously. Well, I'm going to take this little, I separated the tops of the broccoli because they cook faster. These stems are going to take a while. So it's almost like we need to kind of simmer this stuff. And that's what we're going to do while we're making the sauce. Then we have the quick cooking ingredients that'll come a little bit later. And Lynn says she loves watching me cook. Well, I'm glad because sometimes I think it would be boring to watch me cook. So I try to make it fun. Okay, let's see if I can remember where I was in the sauce. That could be fun. So I'm going to do a little bit of sweetener because almost always, at least American Chinese food has some sweetener. I'm using some organic raw agave nectar. You could use maple syrup, you could use date paste, you could leave this out completely, or put in some orange juice or apple juice, or you could use some sugar. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon, maybe between 1 and 2 tablespoons. And I don't know if you guys can see the steam coming off of this over the steam coming from that. When you have a Breville, it will, and see, can you guys see that? Maybe not. That will often happen. And the first time it happened, I was like, oh my God, something's burning. We're all gonna die. That was the first thing I thought, we're all gonna die. But it's just the steam releasing and it's coming out the places that it can because we're using a dry heat for that. So when you're air frying, you're using dry heat. When you're slow cooking or you're using your Instant Pot, you're using wet heat. That's why cakes from your Instant Pot or slow cooker are super extra moist, even if they're oil-free. So that's something to think about. I'll let you look at this. Oh, and Amelia said she made 3 of my spice blends. Yay! Let me even that up a little bit for you guys to watch. So I'm going to put some sesame oil in here as well. Let's see, where's my sesame oil? If you don't use sesame oil, you could just put a little bit of tahini in there. But it gives it a really nice flavor. And then we're going to put in, I'll move this over here, I'm making it different. Actually, I'm just making a different sauce. But you guys have access to this one. I'm putting in about 3 cloves of garlic, really more like 5 cloves of garlic. There we go. Because we do want this to have quite the garlic flavor. And just because I grated some ginger, it's not in this recipe, but I'm going to put a teaspoon of ginger in there anyhow. You could put some crushed red pepper flakes, because traditionally garlic sauce is spicy, right? And these are starting to get some nice color on them. But I want to make sure this is going to cook longer than you expect because of those really thick broccoli stems. And because I knew they were so thick and I had a big thick carrot, I didn't really try and mince the carrot at all. Okay, here we go. Where did I get my skillet from? Actually, this skillet is from Milthy, and it's just a stainless steel skillet. It's about 60 bucks. I will find your comment and I will come back because I actually have a link there. Sometimes they have sales, so I can check that out. I really like it. I've been using it for about a year or more than a year, maybe almost a year and a half. And it works really well. I like it a lot. Lindsay, can you find that sauce at Walmart? You can find rice vinegar, you can find tamari, gluten-free tamari or soy sauce, as well as soy sauce and sesame oil. You may not be able to get the same brands, but if you go to the international aisle, Walmart has really kind of stepped it up. So yeah, there's nothing here that you shouldn't be able to get there. Including ginger. You might have to find it in the tube. And if you find it in the tube, read the ingredients, because some of the tube brands have milk products in them, which is not so good for vegans and people who have allergies. Okay. Keep letting that cook a little bit. And warmer. Uh-oh, Lynn. Lynn did a spell check and I don't see where that was. But anyhow, Amelia says I have a question. Okay, and I'll get back to that question. Let's check the tofu. Typically, I cook it twice. So like almost always in any air fryer dish, I am cooking something for 5 minutes. See how it's got a little bit of a crisp on there? I'm just going to move them around a little bit, flip them over. I'm not going to be so anal as to flip each one over. That's too much time I don't have. But do you see how this is already starting to crisp up pretty nicely? And I see we've got some more people, so I'll catch you up in just a moment. What you were just looking at was some tofu, that extra firm tofu that I cut up into squares, tossed with a little bit of organic cornstarch, and put into the Breville to air fry it for about 5 to 6 minutes. I do 7 minutes in the Breville. If I was doing it in a egg-shaped air fryer, I probably would stick to my 5-minute rule. My rule of thumb for air frying is if it's something you haven't put in before, check it every 5 minutes. That's all you have to do once, and then you know, oh, it should go in 10 and then 5, right? But I'd rather see you check it a little extra. All right, Rosa says it looks yummy. Thank you, Rosa. And Joanne says Walmart has fresh ginger, dried ginger, ginger in the tube, and jars of ginger. Joanne lives in Florida and has become our de facto Walmart international aisle expert, amongst many other things. So again, what we're cooking in here is we're making a variation on my broccoli and garlic sauce from the Easy Vegan Cookbook. And as you see, almost no broccoli in here. That's how the variation goes. I've got some oyster mushrooms that we sauteed for a while. Then we added in the bottom of these broccoli stems. They were very fine, so I didn't need to peel them. But it was broccoli like this. It was very long. The stems are going to take a lot longer than the florets. So are the carrots. And that's why we're cooking them now. I am also probably cooking at a little bit lower of heat because I made a sauce and I'm talking to you. So I'm trying to give myself a little bit of chance for success. So we've started making the sauce, and Amelia, I'm going to come back to your question too. So in here, we've got tamari, we've got water and nutritional yeast that substitutes for our broth. We've got some toasted sesame oil. If you're SOS, you could put a little bit of tahini in there, or honestly, you could put something with a little bit of umami in there too. So maybe some mushroom powder, tomato powder. That could also be something else you could use. I used a little bit of sweetener, so I used organic raw agave nectar. You could use maple syrup. You could use simple syrup. You could use orange juice. A lot of times I'll make stir-fry sauces with orange juice. This is a little OXO dressing container, and this is why I like it. Ta-da! And I'm going to give it a little bit of a taste and see if I want to change anything. Now, in the recipe that I've provided a link for you to, it's a little bit different. Ooh, that's more sauce than I need to taste. Actually, I just need to... That's good, but I want a little more... And I believe in always tasting things. I want a little more tamari in this one. So I bet you I'll end up between 3 to 4 tablespoons of tamari. Cheryl also likes that. If you're looking to have lower salt, you can substitute coconut aminos for that. I am working on both a soy and salt-free version of a soy sauce-ish umami sauce. But I'm not there yet, but I promise you I have not forgotten that. So let's take a look at the veggies. And Lynn says she's going to come over for dinner and try yours before trying to cook mine. Well, you know, sometimes when I'm cooking dinner, oh, that's something that shouldn't be in there. I used the broccoli container for when I was peeling the ginger. That was the end of a ginger that you don't actually put in food. Okay. So I'm going to just kind of crunch on one of these broccoli stems and see how we are. Oh, actually that's not bad at all. And at this point, instead of pouring more water in, well, actually, let me follow my rule real quick, because what if I was wrong? I wasn't wrong. Sometimes the more you do some of this, the more you get good at guessing. Okay, so I'm going to pour a good bit of this soy sauce, or not soy sauce, garlic sauce mixture in here. And actually, I'm going to pour all but the very, very end. So I'll show you this. I'm going to leave a little bit in here that I'm going to mix with cornstarch near the end. And if you're worried about cornstarch, you could use another starch, but you can get organic cornstarch. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to let this get up to temperature a little bit more. And what we're going to do is then put our broccoli florets in. And while we're watching this kind of come up, because this is never going to get thick. If you make stir fries at home and you're like, why are they never like when I'm at the Chinese restaurant? This is why, because they put cornstarch in the sauces. And that makes a big difference. There is a link, and also if you don't see the link, you should see the link depending on where you are, somewhere around there. And it's on healthyslowcooking.com. Let's get this in here. And again, For those of you just joining me, I would do better with a larger pan than I have right now, but my larger pan does not work on my induction burner. And so after these come close, these are actually broccoli leaves. They were big broccoli leaves that I got in my CSA. And I'll tell you a story too. This is how dinner often happens. I looked in my fridge earlier and I thought, there's some broccoli that's about to go bad in there. I better use it up. So I thought, I'll make broccoli and garlic sauce today. Then I also find a few other things that perhaps need to be used up, like the broccoli leaves. And I was like, oh, I forgot I have oyster mushrooms. So this is the tofu. And look how crispy. So it's going to be crispy on the outside and kind of like that smooth custard on the inside. Let's see if I can get one. It's hard to hold. Can you guys kind of see that? So it's still yummy on the inside. Sit this up at the top for a moment. And I did nothing to the tofu but that. The tofu is going to get its flavor from this sauce. Okay. And, oh, hi, Apple. It's good to see you again. Oh, and Apple, I don't know if I knew you were in Canada, Apple, but you're in good company. There are lots of people who hang out here. And these are just because I needed to use them up, and I'm like, broccoli. And it's broccoli. You know what I mean? You can put greens in anything, and it is a happy, happy day. They're good for you. They're usually inexpensive. Broccoli leaves at the store is not so inexpensive, but when I get it from Misfit Markets, it is. And see how this is like a whole pan of goodness. Okay, I don't want to get it too much. I don't want the liquid to reduce that much more. I'm going to put a little bit more of this in. I want to save at least a good tablespoon or two. And let me go back really quick. I know Amelia had, if I made your tofu breakfast sandwich from your air fryer book, how would I cook the tofu in a similar way at someone's place who does not have an air fryer? Oh, that's an easy answer. I was expecting a harder answer. So thank you for that. Let me get a fork. I'm also going to take, see there's a little bit in here, about 2 tablespoons I think. What do I say in my recipe? I say 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And again, if you're a little bit like, I don't want to use cornstarch, remember you can easily get organic cornstarch now. You could use a tapioca starch or something, but this is what's going to make it just like the other. So if I just mix this in to there, it's going to seize up and be nasty. If I put it in a little bit of liquid and then add it, so we're kind of dissolving the cornstarch, that's the most important step, really, of anything we've done today. It's the difference between it being really good. And Apple's making lasagna and hanging out with me. I'm so lucky that you guys are here hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys so much. So some of the lumps you see in there are actually garlic. So I'm going to put this in. I'm going to stir it around. And I'm going to up the heat a little bit. And it won't take long till it starts to thicken. And I will tell you a secret. Do you guys want to know a secret? Do you want to know one of my weaknesses? Is cooking broccoli the right amount of time. I almost always overcook broccoli. So that's why often I will separate the florets because it's beautiful when it's all perfect and bright green and all of that. And actually it's already starting to change. So see how this is already starting to look more like the takeout food. See how thick that's getting? And that's also what's going to make it stick to things, you know, like your vegetables and the tofu. And I don't want to let it get much thicker than that. And I'll show you what I end up doing. Because it's getting thick good enough. I'm going to turn this off. Actually, I'm going to put this here. And if I was on my oven, on my stovetop on my oven, it's not going to happen quite as quickly. So now I'm going to shake some of this tofu in. And you could do all of it. You could do half of it. A lot of times I'll make a big stir fry like this, and we'll eat it both for dinner, and then we'll heat up leftovers for lunch, especially since Cheryl and I are both working from home right now. And so this is the magic, besides the cornstarch. And if you do this with the cornstarch, it thickens it a little bit, but I really think having that extra sauce thickened before you put it in is the best way to do it. But see how now this looks like it was deep fried, and it's crispy, and it's in a sauce, and it looks a lot like the tofu that you get at, or at least we get at our local Chinese takeout. And it's kind of sad because I can't go there anymore because of my gluten allergy. So if I want, there are a few places I can go that have gluten-free soy sauce, but that's a lot to ask from a little hole-in-the-wall corner takeout, honestly. And it's not hard. I mean, we did this really fast. So right now, it's 31 minutes. That includes me doing an intro. What I did do is I did have the vegetables cut up. I cut up the tofu and did that here in this 30 minutes. So it's a very quick meal. It doesn't require a whole lot of ingredients if you're used to making some kind of stir fry. So some kind of tamari, soy sauce, coconut aminos. Rice vinegar is not in the original recipe, but I put a little bit in. Instead of water or broth, you could use a juice to kind of sweeten and give it some flavor. So like we could have made this with orange juice, soy sauce, a little bit of rice vinegar. I might still put in a little bit of sweetener. We could have put in extra amounts of ginger and a little bit of garlic. We could have put in some crushed red pepper as well and made like orange tofu. And some of the sauces that you can get, if you're not SOS, there are things like this, like Simple Truth Sesame Teriyaki. Let me make sure, yeah. And it's actually using things like pineapple juice, garlic puree. It does have cornstarch. It is organic, so it's organic cornstarch. So there's a bunch of different things there, and they're gluten-free. Now, all of them aren't gluten-free, and if you don't need it gluten-free, there's no need to buy it. But like, even coconut aminos has two, and this is one of my favorites. It's a gingery lime. So if you had to go out anyhow and you need something low sodium, you're like, I don't want to buy all the things, you could take a bottle of this. Usually when I cook with this, if I just start and make up the sauce as I go along, I'll put this in, taste, maybe add a little bit of rice wine vinegar, maybe add a little bit of toasted sesame. We could also do something like we could have put some orange zest in there. There's really just no end to the amount of variations, but this is just like a basic stir fry. Okay, let's get back to questions. And Miss Iris is saying I'm making her hungry. I'm making me hungry too. Remember, this is our dinner too. And I heard the rice beep, so I'm super happy. And one thing to know is the extra firm tofu is probably sometimes as much as $1 more than the regular firm tofu. And the weights look deceptive because this one is a pound, and actually I've got that. So this is just the Trader Joe's one, but it's a pound of soy. So the reason that it costs more is that more soybeans are used to make it. So you get more tofu out of this than you do the one that's in a lot of water. Once you squish it down, it's probably half the amount of tofu. So, and that's why sometimes Sometimes I'll save out half of the tofu. I'll still fry it or air fry it. And I still didn't get back to Amelia's question, which is just put them in the oven. If you want to make those breakfast sandwiches, or if you want to do something like that, coat it and put it in the oven instead of putting it in the air fryer. It'll just take a little longer, and you'll have to make sure to turn it over so that both sides get crispy. It's easy. You could also pan fry it. If you're in a non-stick pan, you could pan fry it without any oil at all. And if you use oil, you could put a little oil in there and fry it up that way. Oh, awesome. And Joanne says she lived in the Florida Keys for 7 years and didn't have much in the way of shopping. So she understands Apple's sadness at not having a Trader Joe's. And Sue says, Kathy, can I marinate tofu in a juice like apple or orange? Also, do you have a gluten-free cookbook? Yes, all of my cookbooks have gluten-free options, all 10 of them. And I do have one that's specifically gluten-free. Though, again, if you're not gluten-free, you can use it. So those of you who aren't as familiar with my recipes, is that I'm super inclusive, and I am the queen of options. Meaning, just like we were talking about all these options that we could do for a different sauce or a variation. So in most of the books, in all the books really, so it'll say, use soy sauce or gluten-free tamari, or use whole wheat pastry flour or a gluten-free baking blend. So it's just kind of reversed, and gluten-free vegan cooking in your Instant Pot. That's my latest book, and it just is, it's gluten-free forward because I can't have gluten anymore. But even in the forefront, the intro of that, I say, if you can have gluten, you certainly could use whole wheat pastry flour, where I say gluten-free baking blend, or you could use regular soy sauce, where I say gluten-free tamari. So all the substitutes are easy because I'm cooking real food, so it's not a hard substitute. So I hope that helps. Oh, and Vanita says that looks great. I know, I wish you guys could come have some with me. We have enough for guests. So this is tonight's variation on broccoli and garlic sauce, expanded to include oyster mushrooms, broccoli stems, broccoli leaves. There were a lot of broccoli leaves, carrots, and air-fried tofu. And you know what? I thought about this, Sandra, the whole time I was saying it. No, I mean rice vinegar, and I always say rice wine vinegar because I used to only have rice wine vinegar, and honestly, I use them the same way. So I'm not sure if that's proper or not, but what I really do have is rice vinegar, and what's kind of cool, this is the light one. There's actually one that is, this is reduced sodium and sugar, but there's another one that has no sodium or sugar too. So you can do that on an SOS diet. Joanne says her sister is gluten-free, and she takes along her soy sauce and sends them into the kitchen to be used. She travels for work. I just feel bad doing that. Now, if I'm going somewhere to have sushi, I bring my soy sauce with me. Absolutely. And I don't have celiac, so I don't have to really worry about cross-contamination like some of you do, and I do feel for you for sure. So if you have celiac, I wouldn't do that because it's just so much easier to have a flare-up. I have an intolerance. So that just means I swell up a little bit, which is not the end of the world. It's not the same thing as someone with celiac having an episode. Sandra said, okay, got you. Heather, I missed the beginning. What did you coat the tofu with, please? Absolutely. So I cut the extra firm tofu up, and I sprinkled organic cornstarch on them, the little pieces, and tossed it. I put it on an air fryer rack and put it in the Breville. You could put it in your air fryer. You could put it in your oven at a high setting and just shake it around. It's really good in the air fryer. So I think if you're thinking, should I have an air fryer? If you like tofu really crispy, if you like to quickly roast vegetables, heat up leftovers, things like that, it's awesome. If you think I'm going to make all the French fries and potato chips in the world, you're going to make those once, maybe twice. So, frozen French fries, yes, they work great, but they also have oil and salt. So if you don't do oil and salt, you need to make your own frozen fries. And Sue said that does help. Can I marinate the tofu in fresh juice like apple, orange, or pineapple? You sure can. And honestly, extra firm tofu is not the best tofu to use to soak up all the marinade because so much of the water's already been pressed out. So this is like super firm. So like extra firm tofu, like regular extra firm that you still need to press, or firm. To me, I would press them and then I would let them marinate, and that's going to expand it a little bit and then cut it. That's what I would do. And you could use the sauce that I cooked in. You could marinate in that as well. And Diane, yay, she finally caught me during a live. And she has 3 of my cookbooks that are worn for constant use. Thank you so much. That's such a sweet thing to say. Kind of needed that today. It's been both a long and a short day. Do you know what I mean? I'm tired, but I feel like I should have gotten 80,000 things more done. And Joanne says, believe me, she's talking about her sister. She doesn't feel bad at all. She says she's paying for food and service. She tips well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're going to do something like that. And Heather says, thanks, I have an Instant Pot air fryer I've yet to use. And that's great. So like when you're using that, the space is going to be smaller. So you're going to have to do the amount I did in batches, possibly 3 to 4 batches, because you want to leave a little room so that air can go and circulate. And so what she's talking about is something, instead of this going on the top of the Instant Pot, it's a fryer. Oh, I got it right here. This goes on top. And that's kind of like an air fryer there. But so it's, the space is just smaller than that. So that's why you might have to do it in different batches. Air fryers come in such varying sizes, from I barely fit a piece of bread to I can fit your small children. And so the cooking time will change, and that's why some, like in my vegan cooking in your air fryer book, I say some things have to be cooked in batches depending on the size. That's all, because the Breville, obviously that's huge, so it can fit everything. Hi Mark, welcome. It's good to see you here. Oh, and Joanne says, my stir fry's pretty. There we go. And look, I didn't overcook the broccoli, you guys. I'm so excited. Probably by the time we eat it, it'll be overcooked. And Heather says she has a tiny kitchen. I totally get that. And there are really good reasons to buy different sizes of Instant Pots or air fryers, or to have an air fryer Instant Pot combo. And there's no judgment at all from my side. And I try as many as I can. But there comes a point that there's a number of things I get rid of. So I get some things and I get rid of them too. But I try to keep up with as many of the latest things as I can. But do you guys have any other questions about the stir fry? Again, you can get it on Healthy Slow Cooking, the recipe. Just look up broccoli with garlic sauce. At the top, there'll be a search, and then down at the bottom side, there's a little magnifying glass. If you click on that and type in broccoli and garlic sauce, the recipe should come up for you. It's a little different than what I did today. So when I'm doing lives or teaching classes, a lot of times I change things on the fly. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is I'm fickle. That's a big reason. 2, it gives you a chance to see how I'm making my decisions. So what I want you guys to get out of these lives and seeing me do things and change the recipe is more of like, what do I have? What's my decision-making process? And tasting things as you go. Like, I didn't taste anything on here except the sauce, because that's the only thing that's flavoring this dish, really. I mean, obviously cooking down those oyster mushrooms are going to provide an amazing flavor base, but it really is the sauce that makes this dish. Oh, and Joanne said, what rice did I cook? I think I got medium grain brown rice. It didn't say. It was in just, I think it was from when I ordered through Instacart. I got just brown rice from a bulk bin. but it was definitely not jasmine rice or basmati rice. This would be good with quinoa, red rice, a sticky rice, all kinds of things. So sometimes I do get a little craving every once in a while for Chinese food with white rice because that's what I remember. But, you know, you could use pink rice. You could really just, it's so versatile. You could use anything you want. Anything you had left over. A lot of times if I have leftover brown rice, then I will make another dish because I have leftover brown rice too. And JoJo says, it looks so yummy. Oh, she just came on, so she has to watch from the beginning. Okay, and again, this is our stir fry. So the difference between this and the recipe is I used oyster mushrooms that you can see pieces of. My broccoli had really long stems, so I cut the stems off and cooked those with the carrots because they needed to cook first. Added in the broccoli until it just started to get green, and put my air fried tofu in there. And the air fried tofu has a corn starch crust. And Sue says, oh, you're so sweet. She said, thank you for all you do. And thank you guys so much for all of your support. I really appreciate it. I think I put the link to the recipe. I put the link to the Easy Vegan Cookbook as well. It has a lot of really good simple recipes. It has like a few stir fry recipes too, so the sauces are in there. All of my cookbooks have different spice blends and sauces and staples that you can use over and over again. And if you're looking for a cookbook or a gift and you're not sure which one to get, if you want, go ahead and contact me, and I can help you find the right one for you or your friend. And you can also join my private Facebook group, Vegan Recipes Cooking with Kathy Hester. And I don't know what time I'm going to go live this week. I'm still going, what is it, day 14? Day 14 of Vlogmas. And actually, I just opened this up, so I have a shirt that I'll be wearing at some point. Look at this. Isn't this cool? It's my Vlogmas shirt. And it's from Press and Sew, which is pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm going live every day for December. This Saturday will not be going live. I'm counting live classes as going live. And you're more than welcome to come join the class. If you go to Vegan Recipes Cooking with Kathy Hester, you'll find some discount codes. Or if you go to Plant-Based Instant Pot or Healthy Slow Cooking Facebook pages. And you can just go straight to kathyhester.podia.com and join through there as well. We're doing appetizers, so like fancy appetizers, like we're going to do coconut crusted tofu and some yummy things like that. Oh, and Diane says Easy Vegan was the first cookbook I got. Oh, thank you. After that, I was hooked. Oh, yeah. And it is really easy. And that cookbook in particular, actually, PETA bought and gave to the members of Congress like a year after it was published. So that was a really big honor for me. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to go eat some dinner. I will see you tomorrow at some time. You should have at least an hour's notice. I don't know if I'm doing lunch or dinner. It could be exciting. Okay, be good to yourself. And I'm going to try to be good to myself too. And just take a deep breath and enjoy some kind of really yummy dinner tonight, okay?